Welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for AI Empowerment, Unleashing the Potential with IBM and Northdoor. In this session, we'll begin with an introduction and a welcome from Northdoor CCO, AJ Thompson. We will then be handing over to Ubogu and Brendan Buckingham, who will be engaging in a fireside chat, talking through examples of how AI can enhance and transform your business, and showcasing IBM and Northdoor's expertise in the field to solve real-world business challenges. Before I hand over to AJ, just a few housekeeping rules to mention. Attendees are on mute and are encouraged to ask questions. We ask that you put your questions to the Q&A box in the bottom right-hand corner, where our team are monitoring and responding. Lastly, at the end of the first chat, we will be sharing a fantastic insight into the Watsonx platform with a short video, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for joining us, and over to you, AJ.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm AJ Thompson. I'm the CCO here at Northdoor. Welcome to our webinar titled AI Empowerment, Unleashing the Potential with IBM and Northdoor. Now, in an era that's defined by rapid progress in technology, our ability to harness the power of artificial intelligence has never been more critical. So it's a pleasure to have you all here today as we explore how AI can help propel your business to new heights. In today's fast-paced business landscape, staying competitive demands more than just traditional strategies. It requires us to embrace advanced technology that not only drives innovation, but also enhances efficiency in ways we could never have imagined before. Artificial intelligence is at the forefront of this transformation, reshaping industries and redefining the way we work, collaborate, and serve our customers. Without further ado, I'd like to pass the virtual mic to my esteemed colleague, Ubogu, who will guide us through this exciting journey into the realm of AI empowerment. Anj brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table, making her the perfect guide for our discussion today. So sit back and get ready to discover how AI can unlock your organization's full potential. Anj, over to you.
Welcome to AI Empowerment, Unleashing the Potential with IBM. I'm Anjela Ubogu from Northdoor, your host. Northdoor is a corporate IT consultancy firm. We apply our knowledge and expertise to help businesses capture, manage, protect, and analyze large volumes of commercial data. So why are we here today? We are keen to provide you with insights into how AI can enhance and transform your business. We will discuss practical examples of AI application and showcase IBM and Northdoor's expertise in the field to solve real-world challenges. With me today is Brendan Buckingham. Brendan has been with IBM for nearly 28 years and is the UK expert lead for data fabric and AI. Brendan combines strong business and industry experience with deep technical and architectural skills to help data officers, architects, lines of business to develop strategies to infuse data and AI to support business challenges. Welcome, Brendan. So, Brendan, IBM has released a powerful offering in the Gen AI and AI space called Watsonx. So given the solutions out there, what differentiates IBM?
So thanks for that. Yes, we have in the last couple of months released a new offering into this space. I think the first thing that differentiates us is our long history with AI, which stretches back to 1947. And through the years, we've done various showcase things with AI as we've developed and really driven AI across the landscape, whether it beating the World Chess Championship chess, more recently Project Debater, where we actually beat some of the best debating champions in the world, and subsequently actually in the last 2 weeks, where we've released a model that we've developed with NASA using all their satellite imagery to help people basically monitor floodplains across the geography and reuse those to look at climate damage, for example. So that's actually then led us during that time to start working with business and AI from very early days with various products and solutions. And indeed, what that's given us over the years, and also using it internally, is a good understanding of how to use it in a way that's safe, understanding the governance techniques, being able to monitor AI as it runs through development, understanding what constitutes a good outcome for AI and a good model, but also looking at things like in the generative AI space. We've certainly spent the last 5 years in that area researching and have built new generative AI models, which, unlike many of the other models out there, are curated. So we've looked at things like hate and profanity, blacklisted sites. We've deduplicated the data. The idea, and it's built off a large corpus of IBM data that we've got, probably the largest in the world, plus public data we have access to, which we hope will provide a really good grounding for building models that are safe to use and effective in the marketplace.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So what I've picked up on there is IBM's longevity. They've been around for a long time. They've been in this space for a long time. The governance that supports that, and also the curating models, that is really good. So what's IBM's go-to-market?
So I think that's another unique for us, and we're finding it very powerful. We have a very large client engineering team that's been developed over the last few years, and it's staffed with very clever people: data scientists, data architects, designers, people that are able to do business, refine business use cases, etc. And it's a co-creational exercise. We work with customers over a 4 to 6 week period to build MVPs or POCs that are really business outcome focused. So when we have customers that are nervous about AI or generative AI, we take the business outcome, we work with the business outcome to help them realize something that they could later go on to productionize at scale.
Great. Okay. Excellent. So how about we discuss some of the use cases? Mm-hmm. Our customers have varying customer support teams. How do we help them raise the bar on improving these teams?
So I think this is an exciting area, and it doesn't matter what size company you are. Customer support costs money, and it has a big effect on your organization. If you think about NPS scores, that directly affects whether the customer is going to do business with you or somebody else. So increasingly, it's becoming important that we enable our customer support representatives to be able to answer more and more questions and more complex questions quickly, and indeed not to have to come back to someone in 2 days or send them an email or frustrate them further by not knowing the answer to the question. So the ability we have with generative AI and traditional AI is really start to bring the knowledge in the organization to bear in front of the client representative. But more than that, allow them to use natural language that they're commonly able to use to be able to ask questions and solicit the answers that the customer needs and is able to do things. And we believe that really will help, even if you're a small, medium business and you're trying to expand and improve your customer service. It could mean quicker time to value. It could mean that you could maybe do more with your existing customer reps before having to hire new ones. And when you do hire new ones, onboarding them should be quicker because access to information doesn't rely on your 10-year experience at a company to be really good.
So one thing you mentioned to me earlier was about this is empowering the customer support team. You mentioned about empowering the customer.
Yes, so and indeed we're starting to see this with various organizations, including big banks, is to take some of those tools that you've given your client engineering or your customer engineering or customer support teams and give them to the customer. So the customer can actually self-serve. And indeed, we do that internally, and we'll come on to that later, but we've got various tools that allow a customer to just use the language that they want to use to interact with the service. And the beauty of that starts to become quite interesting. They can use natural language, they can use voice, they can use their own native language. And I know we're in the UK, but not everyone's first language is necessarily English, or they don't find it easy to describe problems. So that becomes another dimension that you could add into this, especially in certain use cases.
Great. Okay. So could we now discuss content creation, so enhancing that customer experience, and perhaps if we look at that in regards to retail?
Yeah, no, that's another interesting area, and we talk to a lot of retailers. I think one example of that could be certainly when you look at the massive amount of products that exist in many retailers' warehouses, and this is a cross-industry thing as well. The issue is how do I describe those products in a marketing way so that I can actually make them attractive to the customers I've got?
So like humanly created.
Yeah, humanly created, and actually where you see these retailers actually spend a lot of money humanly generating that information. Now that's quite complex if you think about seasonality, changes in products, changes in product descriptions. But also if you can start to generate that using generative AI, which is one of the key abilities of doing that, it's not to take the expertise out of the loop, but to allow them to do more in a quicker time. But then you can see the next stretch is being able to look at things like hyper-personalization, because if you can generate really great stuff that appeals to you, Ange, I can actually understand what requirements you have and start actually tailoring that marketing material specifically for you as if you were an individual. And that starts to really increase retention of customers and stops you going somewhere else potentially.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Now, there's one thing that you mentioned to me earlier, which was about content creation in regards to a POC that you did on immunizations.
Yeah, well, so we did this for a customer recently. Actually, it was a retail customer, and they do immunizations. So really, it was how could a customer come to their website, for example, and basically request an immunization. Now, they may not know what immunizations they need. So within that, actually it was a chat interface, as it were, the next question that would come back is, well, what country are you traveling to? Let's assume it was somewhere in Africa that needs it, or India that needs immunizations. It then went off to the government website to basically establish what the right and correct immunization, the Foreign Office website, brought that back. Obviously then booked those immunizations, but the beautiful thing is it knows it knew you were going on a journey. So it was able to start suggesting other things you might need. Now, it might be as simple as sun cream, but it might be the other non-immunization pharmaceuticals you might choose to get, like insect repellent or whatever else you might need for that trip. But then even to go further and suggest other services like travel insurance, for example, and specifically understanding you've already said what country you're going to, understand what travel insurance you might want, and then start to ask you further questions in a very simple conversational way. That becomes a very powerful solution.
Yeah, oh, very much so, very much so. So that sort of leads us nicely on to healthcare. So what can IBM do to help in healthcare?
So I think IBM Watsonx's ability to actually look at data, analyze data at scale from a variety of silos, really start to bring that together in the medical space to provide information. It's really critical for things like drug discovery or significantly improving patient outcomes.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm not sure whether I explained this to you, but Northdoor is actually, we completed a POC within the health service for hernia operations using machine learning. So it was clinical coding, so taking the operational notes from the surgical teams and then mapping those onto the standard clinical codes for the NHS England and NHS Digital. So what Northdoor managed to achieve was 96% better accuracy than a human.
Wow, and that's got to improve the outcome for the patient. Right?
Absolutely.
So that sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to move on again onto something that I think is, well, we all have to deal with this department, human resources, HR. So what can we do to improve the HR department and process?
Within IBM we've really transformed this area. previously, if you wanted to get a mortgage letter, for example, to explain that you had employment and therefore justified the mortgage you were asking for, was quite a painful process. You'd have to find out what the process was, start the process, chase the process, find the process. Those types of things were really complicated. And you can imagine that's quite simple, but there are more complicated things, how do I do this, that, and the other, that employees, it's not necessarily their day job, but it concerns them, worries them, and there are things they want to work on. So IBM have actually encompassed that in a system we call Ask HR, which has a chat front end, and it's very powerful indeed. What we've done is bring together all of our siloed systems like SAP and Workday, etc., to allow us to really bring the power of that knowledge and deliver it to the end user. So now I can ask a question. It will suggest the answer, not just a link to the answer, but it will give me a verbal link to the answer and suggest other actions that I might want to take as a result of asking that question. So it really starts to lead me through the process to actually satisfying my request. And you can see how that starts to really bring things together in a very effective way in many organizations that have siloed data, to drag that all into that interface to really satisfy the employee and improve the employee experience. But you can even think of situations like nurses who are working in the middle of the night. Yeah. I would quite like the nurse that's looking after me to be focused on me, but that's just me.
Rightly so.
Yeah, and not necessarily worrying about the fact that her pay packet wasn't accurate or worried about booking leave or stuff like that. And a lot of this can be automated in a way that at midnight, the nurse can do that and actually be able to find that answer and then carry on being, the great role that he or she needs to do.
Yeah. So this is 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And indeed, I think it's really effective for that. And it's not, the expert isn't in the office. You don't get that. You have to wait 2 weeks till that person comes back. All of that starts to be less of an issue. And I think if you were to talk to people in IBM, they would say that that's transformed the way they deal with HR quite convincingly. And we're quite skeptical. So, to actually get that sort of feedback internally for those systems is quite impressive, I think.
Yeah.
And could work for any company.
Thank you, Brendan. I can see that we've got a question come in from our audience, so thank you very much. The chat box is available there, and we have Tyrone online who's monitoring all of this for us. Okay, so Brendan, this actually looks like a knowledge worker use case. How do I increase my workers' knowledge and productivity?
And I think this is something that many organizations are struggling with. I mean, for years I've been talking to chief data officers who've been talking about data culture. How can I bring my knowledge workers closer to the data they're using so that they can make really great decisions and understand what's going on and get actually data-driven decisions? And in the past, part of the problem of that is being obviously access to the data, but even when you have the data is the complex tools that we've built to allow you to manage your insight into that data, even if you could access it or even understand its quality and those types of things. And indeed, we're expecting people who already have another discipline to pick up a second discipline to become an expert at dealing with the data. What generative AI gives us is the possibility to interface in natural language with data.
Right.
But not just in a way, I can ask it questions, but to get answers back in natural language rather than links or more complex tabular data that they've then got to do something with to gain insight. They can actually be able to bring the power of the organization, so all of the repositories that sit around the organization of trusted, reliable data, to bear to the relevant people. So this isn't just giving them global access, this is about giving them access dependent on who they are, to be able to look at that data, interrogate that data to get insight and to be able to enable them to do their jobs more effectively. And I think this is the really big leap within organizations potentially. If you could build this within an organization and bring the history of the organization to bear, how more effective would your decision making be? How more inspirational would some of the products you develop be if the people could really get access to the information and digest it in a way that they're used to dealing with?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about this being like a digital brain?
Yeah, no,
Is that-
I've heard some customers. I mean, I don't like the word that like a brain because I'm not trying to humanize AI. But
Okay.
but if you think about it, there are lots of very big organizations talking about how do I bring all of this to bear. Within the organization, almost a one place to go to get everything I know. And some of them have gone very public with that.
Yeah. So you're really enabling a higher value worker, improving decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, increasing productivity.
And it's critical because if you're thinking about, the demographics of the workforce, it's an aging workforce. So the experience is leaving the workforce in a lot of cases. So how do you cope with that when a lot of the data is around and you're hiring less experienced people into the workforce? How do you improve their overall performance? And often it is getting them access to the information and allowing them to ask the questions they maybe used to ask, the person in the corner of the room who's been there for 35 years and done the same job.
So true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you have that experience.
Yeah.
It's if we could only bottle that.
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for the question. We don't have any more time on air. However, we have Tyrone who is monitoring the chat box and we will respond. So, Brendan, here is a challenge for our audience to consider. What use case do you have? Just like the POC Northdoor performed for the health service, let us, Northdoor and IBM, bring it to life for you free of charge. Brendan, do we have IBM's commitment to the challenge?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Great. Okay. We'll follow up shortly with further information on the POC challenge. Brendan, thank you so much for today.
You're very
Really
welcome.
appreciate it. And thank you all very much for joining. It's goodbye from us.
Watsonx.ai empowers AI builders to experiment with foundation models for enterprise use cases, including content creation. Let's see how it works. In the prompt lab, there's 2 generation example prompts, including one for a marketing email. Simply input the information you want to include. No finesse or punctuation required. The generative model quickly returns usable content. You can select the best large language model for your particular use case. And you have the flexibility to adjust its parameters. For instance, you can increase or decrease the maximum tokens, or change the decoding settings. In addition, you can explore the associated curl command. If you want to prompt the model using the API, you can create a personal API key on IBM Cloud. Let's head back to the prompt lab to explore another example. With this example prompt, you can create thank you notes. Here, you can leave instructions for the model. For instance, this is a note for interns who attended an AI hackathon, and you want the tone to be energetic. Simply click Generate, and Watsonx.ai does the rest. To learn how Watsonx.ai can help you with your content creation, begin your free trial. Watsonx.data easily connects your data for AI across the hybrid cloud in minutes while delivering built-in governance, security, and automation. Let's see how it can quickly deliver trusted insights and prepare data for AI. From the Welcome screen, navigate to the Infrastructure Manager view to get a snapshot of your entire analytics landscape. There are 3 core components to Watsonx.data. First, multiple query engines. Presto, Spark, DB2, and Netezza. Second, a catalog that keeps track of metadata. And finally, storage and relational data sources, which the query engines can directly access. You can view these components in an alternate list view. Click Add Component to connect your storage, metadata, and analytics environments in minutes. Here, you can register existing data sources from a list of supported connectors without having to migrate or recatalog. Using the Data Explorer, you can browse existing data sources in catalogs and view sample data. And because Watsonx.data supports Iceberg Open Table format, you can view any table changes via time travel. You can also query data. Within your SQL query workspace, Simply select a query engine and leverage common SQL to explore and transform data. Plus, you can easily combine new and existing data to help unlock new insights. Watsonx.data also integrates with Cloud Pak for Data and IBM Knowledge Catalog, enabling centralized data governance with automated local execution. As you can see here, sensitive data is automatically masked. To see how Watsonx.data can help your organization scale AI workloads across all of your data, start a free trial.
Wow, that was a fantastic and fascinating insight into the world of AI for business and our Watsonx platform. And as you've seen yourself, there's a brilliant proof of concept challenge there that's available. And we hope you found this session really valuable. If you have any questions, queries, please feel free to reach out to us. We, of course, will follow up and share the webinar from today and some useful information. Once again, I thank our speakers, Anj and AJ, and of course, Brendan. And we appreciate your time and look forward to engage you again. Thank you very much. Have a good day.